Welcome back to Diving Into Watches, and we got a great review for you today. When it comes to the world of diving watches, your options are massive, from very high-end brands as Rolex and Tudor and Doxa to middle-of-the-road brands like Seiko and Citizen and other micro brands that are really making their way onto the market that are putting out exceptionally really great timepieces like Christopher Ward, etc. But today we're going to cover one. It came out roughly, this current model of this watch came out in March of 2019, the current latest rendition. And I will show you one of the grandfathers of this particular watch in this line, that watch being the Citizen Promaster Aqualand. Quite a few videos, reviews on it, but it doesn't get a lot of love like some of the other watches I show. This one, I think the reason it doesn't get a lot of love is if you go into a lot of watch stores, my local watch retailers, they don't carry this particular watch to be able to try it on and look at it. And I don't know if that's because it doesn't sell well, or it's you know, the perception of it. I think one of the perceptions of it is it's a monster of a watch. It is truly a monster of a watch, but it wears like a teddy bear on your wrist. And I think that sometimes you don't have the ability to try on a watch to see how it looks and feels. You don't want to go spend that kind of money on it. I think retail is like $750 for this watch, and on Citizen's website they got it on sale right now for $562. I picked this one up during one of their Amazon days, and I think I paid a little over $500 for it. And I've probably looked at this watch for a good year and a half before I pulled the trigger on it and bought it. And the reason is it just looks like a massive watch. And I have a very small wrist, 6 1/4. So I was concerned that a 46mm watch was just going to be humongous on my wrist. But I went ahead and pulled the trigger anyways. I guess worst case I figured is if it was too much, I could just return it back to Amazon and get my money back and buy something else. But when you get the watch and you put it on your wrist, it is not huge on your wrist as you would think it is. It wears probably like a 44mm watch, 43 for me. It is thick, but it doesn't overpower your wrist. And I think that's why the watch popularity of it, maybe on the Instagram world and the YouTube world, there are reviews of it, but not a lot of really in-depth ones. I think it's because most people don't have the ability to go try it on like other watch brands and see how it looks on your watch, and no one wants to plunk down that kind of money and then get a watch and not like it. So we are going to do a full in-depth review on the Citizen Promaster Aqualand, and I will show you one of the grandfathers that I've owned. I've had it for over 20 years of this particular watch, and you can see the changes over the evolution from that watch to this one. And I will tell you what I think of this watch, what I like, what I don't like. Is it a buy? Is it not a buy? We'll have to stay to the end for the final conclusion on that one. But without further ado, let's get over to the bench and let's take a more in-depth look at the Citizen Promaster Aqualand. Okay, here we are. So when you get the Promaster, like most Citizen Promasters, they come in these black. They look like your typical tough box, you know, the pressure ones. Very nice box, nice presentation package. You open it up, you're going to have some foam in there, instruction manual, and then you're going to have the watch inside. I don't have this one on the blue strap, and there's a reason I have it on the blue strap. A, I didn't like it on the blue strap. I just didn't like it. It was just too much blue. And number two, it was it's comfortable. It's just, it was very, once it was buckled in, it was a real booger to get these things through and get them unhooked, and it would pull hair and pinch. And so I took it off and I put it on a Barton strap, which I'll show you in a second. But it also does come with the diver's extension. So if I didn't state it earlier, this is an ISO certified watch, dive watch. So it's got true heritage, DNA, legacy of a true tool dive watch. And that was one of the great appeals to it. But it does come the dive strap, which can extend it, I think, up to 2 inches. And then the Promaster strap, I'm not going to go through how to do all that. There's plenty of videos out there on how to mess with the strap. I will never use it to the level of needing to put it on the extended dive strap, because if it's going to be that thick of a wetsuit for me to get it on, it's going to be too damn cold for me, and I am not going in that water. So there's enough of that. Instructions, like with all Citizens nowadays, warranty card, Citizen store company, et cetera, et cetera. I think it's a 2-year warranty, 1 year additional free. Oh, if I fill that out, so I'm not going to worry about that. And enough of that. So if you got a Promaster, you know it came in that kind of case. Let's get down to the watch. We'll go ahead and knock out the dimensions real quick, and then we'll get into a little bit of the history and the nitty-gritty of this watch, what it does, how it looks on the wrist, etc. The watch is 46 millimeters. So it is a larger watch, larger than 45. Typically, most of the watches I buy are 45. I know some people like to wear up to 50, but 50 is, I can't pull off a 50. That was probably my biggest concern when I first saw this, because I have one 50 millimeter watch that I never wear. But I think that was my biggest concern in the beginning, was this watch was going to be really, really large, and it actually varies very well. So 46 millimeters is the case width. It is, per the website, the lug is 21.55. Just say it's 22 millimeters. I don't know why it's 21.55, but it's a 22 millimeter strap on it. The case thickness is 16.6 millimeters. So it is a thick watch, but when you see it's on my wrist, it does not wear thick like that at all. And then lug to lug is 51 millimeters. So it is got some long width on it, but it does fit on the wrist very, very comfortably. It does come on a rubber strap. There is a previous generation or another color option you can get on this one that doesn't have the Pepsi dial. It's all red bezel with a red face. I wanted the Pepsi dials. I like that one a lot. It is an aluminum bezel insert and a sapphire crystal. And this one is the Eco Drive charged watch. The movement is called the Calibre J250. I have several of the Citizens with the Eco Drives. It is a quartz movement, but the transistor, no, they don't call it transistor. I cannot remember. I can't remember what they call the name of the battery inside. But my last one I just had to have done. I have not done a review on that one. That watch is the Calibre 2100. It's the chronograph. I think they call it the Ron Swanson from Parks and Recreation. That one I've had probably well over 10, well, no, probably 16 years, 17 years. And I just had to have the capacitor, that's what it was, the capacitor battery changed inside. So you will get a longevity on this one. I am not a huge quartz guy, but the Eco Drives I'm good with, because I just like having mechanical movements. But it is aluminum bezel insert. It would have been nice if that was ceramic. That would probably be one of my moans, is it's not a ceramic bezel. It's an aluminum bezel insert. The Loom is good. It does have some of the key features here of the watch is you have these 2 screws. This one you unscrew, and when you press it, it puts it into dive mode. This red arm indicator right here is your depth indicator, and as you dive, this will move down long, and it'll tell you on the inside of the bezel how many meters you are going down, and it will record your max depth. It'll record up to 70 meters of max depth, so that's a little over 200 feet of underwater downtime. So that will record that one. It does have an onboard reserve time to tell you how the charge is doing on the capacitor. I think if you put these in, I think one time I put mine in complete blackout, and it lasted over 3 months before I had to put it back in the sun to get it recharged. The bottom one resets the depth timer. I'm sorry, not the depth timer. The depth, and it recalls the max depth. It also has a rapid ascent alarm. So if you're coming up too fast, it's going to alarm and tell you that it's coming up too fast and tell you to slow down. And this is the depth gauge on it that determines how deep you're going. And I'm going to show you a previous generation that has that on there also. It is a 3/16 stainless steel case. It is all brushed. It does have a helium release valve on the side. So you can do pretty deep diving on this one if you want to. Typical crown, it's marked with Citizen logo on the side. This is how you set the date, set the time. It's like you pull out to the first one, you set the date, pull out to the second one, you set the time. And that's pretty self-explanatory standard. Even the lugs are brushed. The back is also brushed, so there's no polish on this one whatsoever. Even got a little scratch right there on the bottom of the depth gauge. The back just gives you the basic info on the watch, the caliber, the serial number, the movement, the watch company. I always kind of think it's funny how they always say, "Do not open, service center, repair only." So Citizen obviously does not want you opening these up and taking care of it yourself. The Eco Drives I take to my local jeweler, watch repair guy in Chandler, and not Chandler, in Gilbert, Arizona, who does a phenomenal job. He's Citizen certified. All the major watch brands that he carries, the other big one, he's Omega, etc. So I take them to him when I need these serviced, and the capacitor is changed out. But it is a gorgeous watch. You can see that it just looks just really, really nice. I love the Pepsi dial. It is 120 click bezel. It's nice. It's firm. Clicks right into place like all things Citizen, which is nice. Is the QC is there. Boom, lands right up on top. Unlike Seiko, where it can be hit or miss. I took this off the rubber strap that it came with, that blue rubber one. And plus it had Promaster on it. It was just a little too over the top with all the markings. I just did not enjoy that whatsoever. So I have this on a Barton straps, silicone rubber strap. What I like about those is they have their lock system that this locks into this little nub right here, and it locks this watch in. It locks the band in from walking around or sliding out, so it keeps the band on you nice and tight. The grandfather to this one is my Citizen Divers 200 meter chronograph. This watch is little over 20 years now. This one I used throughout my time in the military. This is one of my watches. I keep saying I'm going to do a review on all the watches I wore in the military. I will get to that eventually. Obviously, the date is off because you have to reset it. This does not correct itself on a 31-day calendar, so you do have to reset the date on the first if it's a 31-day, if it's a 30-day month. This one is a quartz movement, so I do have to change the watch battery about every 3 years. This one has the dive indicator, the orange hand. You can see it's quite faded, but when you press this one, it puts it into dive mode and sets it at 0. And this is your depth gauge over here that tells, the water goes in and presses on the diaphragm to tell the depth. This one can go down to, I want to say it's 120 meters, or no, maybe it's, I can't remember the exact depth, 120 feet. This one's in feet. So this will go down to 120 feet max depth that it'll read. And then it has a recall. That sets the chronograph, and then the chronograph goes. This will spin for approximately 60 seconds, then it stops. And then I reset it. So this is the grandfather to it. This one is probably, I did not measure this one, but you can see the difference in the size of the cases. There's a pretty substantial size difference. This is probably 40, I want to say. I don't have, and you can tell by the styling, that late 80s, early 90s styling on the bezel. You can see the colors are wearing off, the paint's wearing off on them. Just the different, there was no bezel insert, but this was the grandfather to this watch here. The Loom is really good. Let me go ahead and turn the light off and get you some Loom shots here. The Loom is very good. Both the sword hands and all the indices do glow, and then there's the 12 o'clock at the pip does glow, and then the depth hand glows, and the seconds hand is loomed and glowed, and that is one of the ISO requirements, is that the seconds hand has to be loomed so you can track your time. The older one still holds Loom 20 plus years later, and it's still looking really good also. So you can tell that Citizen's Loom, it does not say in the website if it's Loomy Bright or CGW or CWG, whatever one is they use, but whatever they're using, it is a good Loom. Because you can see the one on this one here, the older one, that's over 20 years old, that Loom is still really good. So the Loom holds up very, very well. You're not going to go wrong with the Loom. You're going to get a good 15 to 20 minutes at minimum. I'm not going to put this on a timer and see how long it goes, but the Loom does very, very well. What would be my gripes about this watch? The band, the band that it comes on, the silicone band it comes on, I just don't like it. I'm sure people have it and they like it. For me, it's just too blue. It's just, and if you watch my video, I like my blingy watches, but that I just don't like the strap, and it's very difficult to get it through the hoops and lock it in, and then it's a real pain to pull it apart. So I just did not like the strap at all. The other groans I would probably have about it, that's about it. I mean, I think for the price of the watch and what it is, a ceramic bezel insert would have been just the perfect cherry on top for this watch. It does not wear too big at all. I'm going to go ahead and put it on my wrist, and as you can see, before I do that, let me get my watch check-in today. This is the Seiko 5 Sports Landshark, aka the Landshark. I will be doing a review on this one the next few weeks. This is just a typical awesome tool watch that it just fell in love with this one. Unfortunately, I think Seiko is going to discontinue this one pretty soon. So if you don't have a Landshark, might think about getting one. This one I got through Joma Shop. You've heard me talk about them before. But yeah, I think the Seiko is going to discontinue the Landshark. I think it's a really cool watch, but that's what I've been wearing for the last about a week now. I'm really enjoying this one on the bracelet. And with the QC, that file line's right up there on top, so it's perfect. So this one, the QC was right on. So let me go with this one off. Let me get the Aqualand on so we can see how it takes a look on the wrist. Okay, there it is on my 6 1/4 inch wrist. You can see that it lays very nicely lug to lug on the wrist. I have some other shots that you might have already seen that I'll disperse in there with it on my wrist and the obligatory pocket shot. But you can see that even on my 6 1/4 wrist, it does not look too massive or huge. It actually fits my wrist very, very well. So I don't think you can go wrong with this if you have a small wrist like mine. If you have a bigger wrist, then it's going to look even better on your wrist. But I don't think it looks or feels too big at all on my wrist. I think it looks very, very well. Lays very flat. Does the lug to lug is not hanging over. I think that's also because it's on the rubber strap, which lets it lay flatter. If it was on a bracelet, it probably might bulge out a little bit because it would be, I think the one I saw, it was male end links and not female end links, which make a huge difference in how well the watch is going to lay on the wrist. But this one, I wear it a lot, and it just always puts a smile on my face, and I always find it to be a great watch. All right, there you go. That is the Citizen Promaster Aqualand dive watch with the Pepsi dial and the blue face. I think the colors are fantastic. I think the watch is exceptionally built. If you've seen my other Citizen videos, you know how I feel about Citizen. I think they are really stepping up, and they're bringing their watches to a new mass. I think this is one that you will not go wrong with. I think this is one that everybody should check out. My only moan, the bezel. Other than that, I think this is an outstanding watch for the price that you get. So let's go back over to the studio, and I'll give you my final wrap up and my final thoughts on the Promaster Aqualand by Citizen watch. Well, there you go. There's the review of the Citizen Promaster Aqualand dive watch. As I said earlier, it is a beast of a watch. I mean, it is not overly heavy, but it is not light watch. It is a beast, but it wears like a teddy bear on your wrist. It is not going to be dragging your wrist. It's not going to be overpowering. It's not going to be in your way. It's not going to feel like you're carrying a ton of bricks on your arm. If you're into dive watches and you're really into Citizen, then this is one you should definitely take a look at. I don't think you can go wrong with this one at all. They got a good, decent sale price on it on Citizen's website right now, and I'm sure you can pick it up at Joma Shop, maybe a better price, or on Amazon at an even better price. But $500, $560 for this tank of a watch, this is a tool watch. I mean, this is the ultimate tool watch. Yes, I know I'm going to get the comments, nobody dives, I got that. But you know what? Most popular watch in 2023, it seems like with every company putting them out, is the dive watch. More dive watches are sold by all brands than any other watch that any brand makes. It's just a very, very versatile watch. Is this something that you're going to wear with a suit and tie or a real dress shirt? I don't think so. It's too thick. But if you're where you can wear polos or button-ups or something like that to work with jeans, this is going to look just great at your desk, you know, being a desk diver or in the office. It is just going to work fine. Going in the pool, going in the ocean, going boogie boarding, going surfing. You want a tank, you want something that's going to take a beating, this is what you want to get. So I encourage you to take a look at it. Tell me in the comments you disagree. Do you think that Citizen has a better dive watch than the Aqualand as far as the size and capabilities of this one? I know I did you saw my early review. If you haven't, it'll be listed. I'll put the link down below in the comments on the Citizen NY0040, which I think is the best dive watch that Citizen does make. But this would be a close second. I think that one probably takes this one just because of the compact size and the horology, the military history. Can't think of the name now, but the Italian Navy and the Italian divers. So it has a little more history to it and length to it, and it is a true automatic, where this one is a Eco Drive. And I know there's a lot of Eco Drive lovers out there, especially in my following, my subscribers. I know a lot of you Eco Drive lovers. I think the Citizen keeps this up. I think Seiko's going to be in some trouble. They kind of relust on the laurels, and they need to be pushing some new styles and some new stuff out there. The Landshark, really awesome watch too. So stay tuned for a review with that one. But hit me up in the comments if there's anything you want me to do a review on, or any watches you think I should take a look at. I will do a watch eventually on the grandfather of this one. But those I know you can pick up on eBay. I've seen them on eBay in the $200, $300 range. So if you're looking for a classic Citizen dive watch, that would be a good one to pick up. I love that watch. Probably my only thing about that one is it's quartz, and I got to change the battery every 3 years. But that thing has been through deployments, it's been through combat, it's been through 20 years in the military. It's got a lot of scratches. It's done a lot of surfing on the North Shore of Hawaii. That's a killer watch. So if that watch does well, I can just imagine how this watch is going to hold up. Hey, I want to thank everybody for continuing to watch our channel and continue to hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. You're helping us grow, and we really appreciate it. We want to keep bringing you great videos. So please hit that subscribe button down below. Give us a big thumbs up. And you stay tuned for our next video. We might be having one coming out again real soon on some straps. And always, as we do every single week, we drop a video for you. Follow us on Instagram at Daily Dive Watches. And I'll put a link down in the comments too if you want to follow us on Instagram. Till then, stay safe, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.